Clara, could you perhaps introduce yourself?
Yeah, so as you said, I'm Clara. I'm a mechanical engineering master student at ETH, and I'm the project manager of ACE.
Nice. In general, a lot of people don't know what is ACE. Could you maybe quickly briefly explain what is the goal of ACE and who are you?
We're the solar racing team at ETH. So we build a solar car for the Bridgestone World Solar Challenge, which happens every 2 years. This is, let's say, the small goal that everyone sees, right? But at the same time, our goal is to enrich the education of the students at our university and other universities, so that they can do something practical on the side of their studies, which is more applicable to real life, let's say.
Thank you. What is a personal goal to be part of ACE?
What I really like about ACE is the people, and one of my main goals, also why I became project manager, was because I want to build a super motivated team, and also just spread my excitement for the project.
Amazing. In general, if people want to participate in Alpha Centauri, what kind of people are in the team?
We have a very wide range. I would say we're actually mostly mechanical engineering students. It makes sense, we build a car. And we also have electrical engineering students. So on the technical side, it's mainly them, plus some other physics or other science students. But of course, we're not complete just on the technical side. We also have a business side, which includes sponsoring and operations and communications. And we have students from all different areas of study there. For example, digital communications, yes.
Cool. And in general, solar racing was almost founded in Switzerland. Do you have maybe a short background of the solar race history in Switzerland?
So the first solar race actually took place in 1985 in Switzerland. This was the Tour de Sol. Back then the cars looked a bit different, I won't lie. A lot less futuristic maybe than now. But yes, and that's also why we're actually 85 as our team number, to reflect this history.
And in general, what's the difference between an electrical car and a solar car?
So both have an electrical battery. So the solar car is, in theory, an electric car in terms of having an electric motor. But we get our energy from the sun with our PV cells. Our battery is simply there to top up when the solar irradiance is lower or driving during the night or something. But an electric car drives purely from their battery, which is then charged from the wall.
Yeah. And do you know how much of percentage-wise maybe do we ride on actual solar energy and how much just on pure battery that wasn't recharged by solar energy in our solar car?
Okay. So in Australia, when we take part in the race, we have to drive the 3,000 kilometers with one battery. So we're allowed to start with a full battery. And this battery is about twice the size of the battery of an electric scooter. So it's roughly about 1/20th to 1/10th of our total energy to drive that whole distance in Australia only.
It's pure battery?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, you talked about Australia. Could you maybe briefly explain what is this race in Australia and how is it different from this race in Belgium now?
Okay, so the Bridgestone World Solar Challenge, it goes from Darwin in the north of Australia to Adelaide in the south, and it's an endurance, they're both endurance races, but this is in a different sense. It just goes along one road, a public road, which is also a big difference to here, and it goes over between 4 and 6 days, and yeah, but here it's a 24-hour race on a track. We have our pit box where everything's built up nicely. But in Australia, all our team members are also on the road following the solar car. There's not, for example, a team here ready to repair as soon as the car comes back in the pit. It's completely different. There are also just roadside repairs, everything.
Yeah. And do you remember who was number one, who won the last Bridgestone World Solar Challenge?
Bridgestone, okay. Inoptus, the Belgium team, won the last Bridgestone World Solar Challenge. They finished in just over 4 days. ACE, as a comparison, we took just under 6 days to finish.
And do you know who was the last winner of this race?
The last winner of this race was Sonnenwagen, the German team. They even actually participated with 2 cars, and they came first and second place last time.
Okay, interesting. Do you know also what was like their score, or what was how many laps they completed?
Ooh, not the top of my head. Not the top of my head, but I know that on average, over the whole 24 hours, I think they drove 60 kilometers per hour.
60 kilometers. And well, maybe just for the viewer, how many times have we taken part in this race, including this race and perhaps also the Bridgestone World Solar Challenge, so they know at what stage we're at?
This is the first time participating in this race, and we've actually only participated in the Bridgestone World Solar Challenge once as well, because this is with our first ever solar car. The second one's in the making, but not there yet.
And are there already any learnings so far for this race?
I think a lot of the team structure and how we approach, for example, repairs and how the team works together, I think we've managed to win a lot of useful information and experience from that. And that we'll definitely implement that for Australia and for the next European Solar Challenge.
Personally, do you think which one is more challenging, this Australian race or this race, the 24-hour race?
The Australian one.
And which one do you like more?
The Australian one. But this one's, it's completely different. This one, I think the interaction between teams is much nicer and much better because everyone is in one place the whole time. But personally, I find the Australian one more exciting. It's also just a different place. This is Europe. We live in Europe, and Australia is just the other side of the world. That also adds a wow factor to it, you know?
Cool. I'll quickly check if we have audience questions. But before that, perhaps just in general, what is the goal for the team during this race?
Our goal is, in terms of the car, is to win the national title for Switzerland. But as a team, it's just to gain experience in the race setting and also to grow together as a team. We're quite a new team, and what's really important in solar racing is that everyone can pull together, everyone works well with each other, everyone thinks ahead.
Okay, excellent. And do you feel there's a lot of competition or is it a very collaborative atmosphere?
I think it's generally very collaborative here. Everyone helps each other. If one team is missing a part, someone else will help you. And we had a few electrical issues, and people from all the different teams came and said, "Hey, we can sit down together." It's been really great.
There was an issue with the electrical side, and I think Team Sonnenwagen helped us out. From Aachen.
They sat down together with us with the motor. I'm not sure whether they did in the end, but for example, they also lent us some cables when our charging cable wasn't meeting the regulations. They come by every time we have an issue and ask if everything's okay, whether they can help.
Nice. Okay, let me quickly check if the audience has any questions. Okay, what is the craziest thing you've experienced so far in Alpha Centauri?
Ooh, that's a difficult one. It's difficult to say. I would say a lot of things in Australia were just completely new to us. Also, the whole project is new. There are new experiences. It tops on crazy every time. I think one of the big eye-openers, it's not a crazy thing, no. But I would say one of the crazy things that people from the outside would say, probably, if we look at it that way, is how little sleep we got last year. It's how much time and effort everyone invested into this project. It's voluntary. Most of us don't get credits for it, but they still came day in, day out. It's like that with the whole solar car community. It's crazy.
You talked about sleep. How does it work with the shifts here at Bell? Someone asked that question. Because it's 24 hours, you can't drive for 24 hours. Does the driver change? Does the team change in the background, or how does it work with shifts?
So the driver shifts are each 2 hours. It's also given by the regulations, but also the concentration decreases after a while. And for the mechanical repair team, we have 4 6-hour shifts, which always switch. And for example, me and our team manager, we also switch with these shifts. The other teams are a bit more flexible. For example, communications and strategy also need to be around the whole time. They also try to organize it in shifts, but if something goes wrong, some of us probably will be awake for the whole 24 hours.
And what's your next task? What is your role right now?
Right now, I'm not on shift. I think I'll watch the race a bit and see if everything is going okay with the car. If it comes into the pit box with a repair, we'll see who can do what to help. But otherwise, till this evening, I can rest a bit for my next shift.
Cool, that's good.